guys, my name is Trinh and today I'm here to do a book review and discussion for Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare. Yes, I did put on red lipstick and this red dress to match with Annabelle Blackthorne on the cover. So if you don't know, this is the last and final book of the Dark Artifices trilogy. Now that it's over, what the fuck am I gonna do with my life? Before I forget, I do have a reading vlog of me reading this book. I will link it in the cards and also in the description box below. Sorry, my voice is it's all over the place right now. First of all, if you don't know, in the first edition of Queen of Air and Darkness, there is an illustration on like the inside of the dust jacket, and I will show you right now actually. This is what it looks like and it's beautiful. I absolutely love this illustration so much. So we have almost all of the main characters from the Dark Artifices trilogy on this amazing freaking dust jacket, and I love it so much. And if you don't know, this is like my favorite cover by Cassandra Clare, or from Cassandra Clare. But also throughout its entire book there are like 9 or 10 black and white illustrations done by Alex Duke, who is the same illustrator of, you know, the dust jacket. And I will show you one right now because I'm trying to find one that is not too spoilery. As you can see here, this is Emma. Out of all of the illustrations, this one is like the least spoilery because Cassandra Clare did post this picture on her Instagram page. So throughout this entire book, as you're reading, you will see black and white illustrations, and they're beautiful because they really enhance the plot. They really make that part of the story so much better because you get a visual image of that scene. It's so wonderful. I'm so happy to read this book when it came out, and I'm so happy to see these illustrations as I am reading the book because they really do make the story so much better. Now, as for the writing, I want to talk about this because this is something I definitely noticed in like Lord of Shadows and also Queen of Air and Darkness. Now, I have like mixed feelings about Cassandra Clare's writing. It's not because it doesn't hold my attention. The part that bothers me so much is that there are some sentences that she could have phrased better. It's not the fact that she's not good at storytelling. She is fantastic at storytelling. It's just that there are some sentences that could have been better, you know, because the grammar is off, things like that. That was my critique. So overall, I give this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. This trilogy is so fantastic. Cassandra Clare has really outdone herself, and I'm so excited for her next series, which is The Elder's Curses, I believe. That's coming out in April, you know, with Malik. I'm so excited for that. So that is it for my review. If you have not read this book, leave right now. This is the last and final book of the Dark Artifices trilogy, so please leave if you have not read the book. But if you have read the book, then you can definitely stay and we will discuss everything that happened in this book because a lot of things happen in this book. This book is like around 900 pages long, so of course a lot of shit went down, you know? So we're going to discuss everything that happened in this book. I have my notes right here. I organized it last night. I'm ready to discuss Queen of Air and Darkness. So leave now if you have not read the book. Leave right now. Go read it and come back. Where should we start? Let's start with the first chapter because, you know, is the first chapter. It continues literally from the ending of Lord of Shadows. Remember the ending where Robert and Livy are killed by fucking Annabelle Blackthorne? So yeah, we continue right there. Like, we didn't really jump like a week later or like a day later. Literally, as soon as like the ending of Lord of Shadows, we continue right off the bat with Queen of Air and Darkness. And it was honestly really heartbreaking because even though I knew before I read the book that we're going to start right off from the ending of the previous book, it was still heartbreaking to see the blood in the council hall, to see Robert's body, to see Livy's body, to see Alec breaking down, to see all of the Blackthorne children sobbing and being in pain. It hurts, man. It fucking hurts. And of course, it's nice to see Isabel and Simon in Queen of Air and Darkness because they were not in the first 2 books like at all. But at the same time, this is a really horrible circumstance because Robert is dead now. Like, Isabel and Alec don't have a dad anymore. And I remember the ending of the first chapter where Mark and Helen have to tell Tavi that Livy is dead. And the poor boy, I love Tavi so much because I love children. And seeing Tavi being upset and crying, and then seeing Raffi and Max comforting him, and seeing Mark and Helen being frustrated that they can't even comfort their own youngest brother, you know? I was sobbing so much. Like, just from the first chapter of the damn book, I was already crying. So throughout this entire book, or like throughout like the first half or so, it's interesting to see how the Blackthorn children cope with Livy's death. So for Julian, is the fact that he does not want to feel emotion anymore. So he goes to Magnus and asks for his help, and then we find out that Magnus has taken his emotions away, mostly because of the parapetite thing, you know, like his love for Emma is so strong, and you can tell that the curse has started because I think there's a scene where his runes were on fire, or like his shoulder blades were like on fire, I don't know, but he was in pain and he knew for a fact that the curse has started. So he asked Magnus to take his emotions away, but also it's the fact that he does not want to feel pain, you know, because Livy has died. And Ty, so his way of coping with this is that he does not want to admit that his twin sister has died. He is literally trying to bring her back from the dead, not in like a cruel way like what Malcolm did in Lady Midnight, but in like this sketchy way, but still it's wrong because it is necromancy. You're literally trying to bring someone back from the dead. It's not something that you should do, but Ty just does not care. He wants to bring Livy back from the dead, and he's so focused on this one task that he kind of just shut everything out. I feel so bad for Ty because he literally saw his own twin sister die in front of him. So I feel really bad for the kid, but at the same time I knew for a fact that he should not mess with necromancy. And Drew, on the other hand, Drew has this fear that everyone around her is leaving her, and that is completely understandable because Livy has died, and then Julian and Emma are sent to Fairy, and Jamie or Hammett, I still don't know. Anyway, Jamie comes, but then he leaves immediately, and she feels like everyone in her life has left her. It's a legitimate fear, and I completely understand with that, you know, like her fear of people leaving her and her fear of being alone. Helen, on the other hand, so we have Helen back, which is great, but at the same time, after this big tragedy, it is really hard for her, you know, because she feels helpless that she has not helped her family members in like a way that she wants to, because she was exiled for like 5 years. Of course, she's back, but the kids don't really recognize her because they were kids when she was exiled, and the thing is, they're still kids. I feel bad for Helen because she feels helpless, and she doesn't have like the best relationship with like the younger siblings, especially Drew and Tabby. And then Mark and Tabby, on the other hand, I don't remember how they cope with this. At the same time, I know they're as broken as the other children or like the other family members because they have lost Livy, like a sister to the... God, I'm not gonna cry. Fuck that. Kid and Ty. I love Kit and Ty so much. I ship them so hard. On page 51, Kit thinks Ty is beautiful. Kit, don't deny it. Like, seriously, don't deny it. Please, just get together so I can be happy and everyone in the fandom can be happy. This funeral scene, honestly, I was really upset because it's expected. Like, of course, there's gonna be a funeral for Robert and Livy, but then also the fucking cohort members are so disrespectful. Another upsetting thing is that Horace Dearborn has become the new Inquisitor, and of course I'm like, why is this announced at a funeral? After that, I just said fuck everything because it's so frustrating because he's such a horrible person, and yet he's gonna become the new Inquisitor. Like, what the fuck is this about? Helen and Elaine, oh my god, I love them so much. So of course Helen is the oldest Blackthorn children. It's weird saying children, but like the Blackthorn siblings, I guess. So she is the oldest, and Elaine is her wife, and also Elaine is the daughter of the consul Gia Penhallow. So Helen and Elaine are running the Los Angeles Institute, which is a good thing. So children are going back to Los Angeles except Julian and Emma. And of course I feel bad for Helen because she's trying to have this relationship with her siblings, but they keep denying her, especially Drew. Honestly, Helen and Elaine are an iconic couple. I love them so much. I love Helen, I love Elaine, I love that they love each other. I love that Elaine stands up for her wife. That is so amazing to see. It's so funny. Like, I love Elaine so much. She's hilarious in my opinion. I put my hair in a braid, but later on I will probably take it off because it's me and I'm pretty indecisive when it comes to my hair. So this meeting with Horace and Julian and Emma, honestly at this point I was already freaking out. Like, I was just stressed reading Queen of Air and Darkness. So this meeting, we find out that Horace finds out about Julian and Emma's feelings and the fact that, you know, they're in love but they're not supposed to because they're parapetite. He basically blackmails them and sends them to Fairy to get the Black Volume of the Dead and also to kill Annabelle, and if they don't do what he tells them to do, he will tell everyone about their secret, about the fact that they're parapetite and, you know, they're in love and it's forbidden. And fuck this guy, honestly. I fucking hate him so damn much. And it's so upsetting that no one knows about this until like much later on, because it's supposed to be like this top secret mission, but turns out it's a suicide mission because he's gonna send other people after them to kill them. Honestly, this guy is so horrible in so many ways, like Horace Dearborn. Get fucked. So let's quickly talk about Mark, Christina, and Kieran. So throughout this entire book, I knew that they were all going to be a couple. I knew they were going to be in this polyamorous relationship, and I'm so glad that they make it work. I'm so glad that my prediction has come true. I mean, it was kind of obvious if you think about it, because throughout this entire book, there were hints. There were hints of Christina and Mark. Well, obviously they're together because they're closer. But then also Christina has feelings for Kieran, and Kieran also has feelings for Christina, and Mark is obviously still in love with Kieran, and Kieran still obviously loves Mark. So the solution is for them three to get together. But not just that, there is a scene where Christina has a dream, and it's basically her, Mark, and Kieran like being together and kissing. She knows it's gonna happen. Julian and Emma are in ferry. They have to go because of fucking Horace Dearborn, and then we find out that Julian lied to Emma almost the entire time when they were in ferry, because I thought we were going to the Unseelie Court, but no, he's been directing them to the Seelie Court. And this is the part where I was just confused, because I remember that at the end of Lord of Shadows, Julian looked at the Black Volume of the Dead and took some pictures while Annabelle was like right there, but Annabelle was not suspicious because she didn't understand technology. So he was taking pictures of the book with his phone. I was under the assumption that he only took pictures of 5 pages or 10 pages. I didn't realize he took pictures for the entire book. He actually has them printed, and he gave the book, the copy of the Black Volume, to the Queen. But seriously, how on earth did he have time to take pictures for all of the pages in the Black Volume of the Dead? I don't get it. I honestly don't, because I thought he only took pictures of like 5 pages, not the entire thing, because I imagine the Black Volume of the Dead is pretty thick, okay? And also he gives this cheap ass copy to the Seelie Queen. It's so funny to me because she bought it. She's like, yeah, I guess. So we also find out about this Parabatai rune and how to, you know, get rid of it, or like how to get rid of all of the Parabatai bonds in the world. So it turns out the Parabatai rune is created by, or like was created by, Jonathan Shadowhunter. If the original Parabatai rune is destroyed, then all Parabatai runes in the world are broken. So the original rune is in the Silent City, and of course in order to break it, it must be cut by the Mortal Sword. So of course we're like, well, we can't do that because the Mortal Sword is shattered by Cortana. So at the end of the book, before that big ass battle, Emma was about to do it. Emma had the Mortal Sword. She was literally about to cut the original Parabatai rune, and I was shocked when I read that scene. I was like, Emma, don't do it. Because if you think about it, out of like Emma or Julian, like who would do it, I really thought Julian was about to do it because he's so desperate. Like he would do anything to be with Emma. I never thought it would be Emma, but I think we've came to the realization that it's because of the curse. They're slowly losing their sanity. I think she was willing to do it. Like she was willing to fucking cut the original rune, but Julian stopped her, thank God. Oh my God, that could have been really fucking bad. So Gwen and Diana, I still love them. I still love Gwen. I still love Diana. And the scene where Gwen tells Diana that he loves her, I was touched. I love this couple so much. I love the fact that they're both so strong, and I love the fact that Gwen loves Diana so much. They're wonderful, honestly. So after finding out that Julian and Emma are on a suicide mission, Mark, Kieran, and Christina decide to follow them, you know, using that heirloom that Jamie has. So, you know, Jamie comes back to the institute, gives it to Christina, and then she uses it to bring herself, Mark, and Kieran to the Seelie Court, or like, sorry, the Unseelie Court, or like that crossroad, whatever. Why on earth did Mark drink the juice? Mark, what the fuck? I was shocked when I was reading that scene, because in Lord of Shadows, Christina just drank the juice like it's nothing. And of course, it was just regular juice in Lord of Shadows. When Mark drank the juice in Queen of Air and Darkness, it's actually not just juice. It knocks him out. He was unconscious for a while, and I was pissed because he had no reason to do it. Like he just did it because he genuinely thought it was just juice. But I'm like, Mark, You know that fairies can be tricky. You know that fairies are cunning and they're very manipulative. Why are you drinking the juice? Later on in that chapter, Manuel captures them because he's a piece of shit. So of course, later on we find out that the queen has betrayed Julian and Emma. And honestly, I don't know why I was surprised, because I was surprised when Nin tells them that, hey, the queen has betrayed you. We need to come quickly. I was like, what? What do you mean the queen has betrayed them? And the queen has betrayed him. Jesus Christ. Anyway, I was really shocked, surprisingly. Turns out the queen is giving the king the black volume, or like the copy, that cheap ass copy. She was planning to give him the copy to get her son back. So of course we find out that Ash is her son. That has been confirmed very casually in this book. So of course the queen was planning to give the black volume to the king the entire time. I told you to never trust the queen. Remember, this very manipulative queen has sided with Sebastian in City of Heavenly Fire, for God's sake. So it turns out that the Black Volume of the Dead is also called the Dark Artifices. I like the fact that we know about that. Page 301 is so funny to me. So up top on page 301, this is a copy of the Black Volume of the Dead. He said, the book that is also called the Dark Artifices, for it contains within it some of the most formidable magic ever recorded. The queen says it is an exact duplicate. It was made with the assistance of a wizard of great power called Office Max, of whom I know nothing. So the king is under the impression that like this wizard is a legit wizard, even though Office Max is just like a fucking store where you can go and make copies, you know? So of course the king is not giving Ash back, even though he's like, yeah, I'll give your son back. Of course he's not gonna do it. It's so interesting to see how the Silly Queen is also tricked, you know, because she was convinced that she's gonna get her son back, but she's not, and she was pretty pissed about it later on. So we find out that Ash is the weapon since he has angel blood, fairy blood, and demon blood. And yeah, he is Sebastian Morgenstern's son, so let's move on from that. And then we also learn about the story of the first heir. So I kind of learned about it in The Land I Lost, which is I think the second to last novella of Ghost of the Shadow Market. So it's the one where Alec goes to Buenos Aires. We get the story of the first heir, and then we learn that the king and queen plan to unite both courts. So this was like years ago. Their plan involved having a child together, but the king was mad that the child was a girl. It was just a big mess. Like if you think about it, it's just this big family drama between the king and the queen, and of course, you know, he did not want the child because she's a girl. So Chase and Clary are prisoners in the Unseelie court, and I'm glad that Christina and Adion rescue Emma, Julian, Clary, and Jace. Honestly, the last chapter of the first part, Feel No Sorrow, was so amazing. It was like the best chapter I've ever read. Well, that's a damn lie, but one of the best chapters I've ever read because it was so intense. So let's quickly talk about Annabelle. This girl is so annoying in this book. So Annabelle is like attached to Ash. She is insanely protective of Ash, even though they just met. So she takes Ash and they go into the portal. They go to duel. The fight at the court. Best shit I've ever read. It was so good. It was like late at night and I could not believe what I was reading because it was so intense. So many things happen at once because we have so many characters in that chapter. Of course, let's start with the fact that this family drama between the king and the queen, and I found it so amusing because as I'm picturing this scene, it's kind of like a Thanksgiving dinner between two relatives fighting back and forth over like a child, you know? The queen stabs the king and I legit said, what is going on? Because it was just getting really weird. And then this is the part where I was just shocked. Basically, Kieran takes his like necklace and fucking threw it at the king and killed the king with it. I could not believe what I was reading, and I was like, oh my god, is he dead? The guy, I forgot his name, but he's like the main guard. He basically announces the king's name. That's when you know he has died. And of course, after I read that part, I was like, what will happen throughout this entire book? What's gonna happen now? Because the king is dead. Who's gonna be the main villain now? The cohort, obviously. We know that. You know that, we know that. So on page 384, it is confirmed that the cohort was collaborating with the king. I could not believe what I was reading because I genuinely thought that the cohort just hates downwarders, but lo and behold, they're lying again. And of course, they've been dealing with the king. They've been spreading the blight. So now we get to this chapter, or like chapters. It's like literally 100 pages of just Emma and Julian being in duel. So of course, Julian has emotions happens in this alternate universe, I guess. The thing that kind of freaks me out is that we see Sebastian. We see him like winning the war. So, you know, this is like a huge, like, what happened if Clary was killed and, you know, no one was able to stop Sebastian? We basically just see it in Duel, and it's honestly horrifying because everything has gone to shit. Literally, most of the characters from the More Instrument series are dead, like Alec, Magnus, Isabel, Clary. Honestly, that breaks me. That breaks me a little bit. This part, what even? So we see Livy. She's alive and much older. My god, it was kind of really hard to read because, you know, Livy is dead, and then we see her alive in this alternate universe, and it kind of breaks you in half if you think about it. So Cameron and Livy are dating, which I find very funny, and honestly, in this world, Ty is dead. Livy's story breaks my heart. I was crying when she was telling the story to Julian. So basically, Ty is killed, Tabby is gone, Emma and Julian becomes darkened, Drew is dead, so Livy lost everyone. It is interesting how in this alternate universe, Livy is the only one who is alive while everyone else is gone. Meanwhile, in the real world, everyone is here and alive, but Livy is dead. So in this world, we're trying to defeat Sebastian. Honestly, it's like a repeat of City of Heavenly Fire, and I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of this repetition thing, but at least it's just like really short, you know? It's just like 100 pages or so of the story. But at the same time, I was like, why are we doing this again? I thought we've moved on from this Sebastian crap. Of course, the gang finds Tessa, and then when we learn that Jem is dead, that's when I fucking know that this sucks ass. Like, yes, I was upset when we find out that Ty and Tabby and everyone has been killed, but when it was confirmed that Jem is dead in this alternate world, I fucking hate everything. This big scene, this big battle scene, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of confused when I was reading this chapter. So Emma is fighting with the mortar sword. So of course, you know, we go into the Silent City, we get the mortar sword, and then when we learn that Cameron is trapped in the Silent City, like they had to close it, and Cameron is still in there. The whole time I was like, why isn't Cameron outside? And then we close the door and Cameron is trapped in that Silent City. I know this is just an alternate universe, but it genuinely upsets me that he has been killed because he's a pretty cool guy. Like, we see him in this dual version, and he's pretty cool in the real version too, but we don't see him like at all. I want to learn a little bit more about Cameron Ashdown because he's not a bad person. We just know him as this like ex-boyfriend of Emma Carstairs, but he's not bad at all. He's actually a really good person, and to see him being killed, honestly, it upsets me so much. And then of course Tessa is dead. I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for Tessa to be killed like this. So yeah, Emma kills Sebastian, which is a good thing. Why does Ash care about Jace? Because when Jace is defeated, Ash did not go through the portal with Julian and Emma. Ash actually went back and grabbed Jace and then flew away. So I don't understand that part. And of course, we're going to see them at the very end of this book in the epilogue. But Annabelle was so annoying. Like I said, she's this like overprotective mother. Julian kills Annabelle. So that was a pretty great scene in my opinion, because I just want her to like be gone. So yeah, the ending of chapter 21 was actually really fucking weird. Like, I was so upset and confused at the same time because Annabelle is dead, so that was a good thing. But then also Ash taking Jace away and he has wings now. It was honestly so weird. So like, the only good part is that Julian and Emma have the mortal sword and they're going through the portal. So let's quickly talk about Annabelle's death, because it happened so quickly if you think about it, because she was like complaining 1 minute, the next thing you know, Julian kills her and then she's dead. Yes, her death did come really quickly, but at the same time, when I look at like the main villain of the Dark Artifices trilogy, I don't see Annabelle as the main villain. Even though she did some fucked up shit in Lord of Shadows, I don't see her as the main villain. I see the cohort as the main villain, and I was right. And I do like the fact that Julian killed Annabelle because she was the one who killed Livy. So he wants revenge, he got it, good for him. Emma and Julian are back, which is a good thing because, you know, everyone is worried about them. The emotionless Julian is back. That annoys me because, you know, him having no emotion is just not good for anyone. And then we also find out that Diana cut the Inquisitor's arm because he was threatening her, you know, like that scene where he knows that she's she's transgender, and he's like about to blackmail her with it, and she was having none of it, so she cut his arm. I don't know about you, but that is so iconic in so many ways. So the plan is to get the water from Lake Lin for the warlocks, but also to get rid of the blight. Magnus is better now, and so it's Katarina. Like, all of the warlocks are so much better, and it's just really nice to see that. So the letter from Livy to Ty breaks my heart, because in this letter it's basically her telling him that she loves him, and it's just so upsetting to see Ty saying that's not my Livy, and for him to use that letter as like that ritual at the end. Oh my god, that was just so upsetting, because like, yes, I know that he's trying to bring Livy back from the dead, but he should have known that you cannot mess with necromancy. You should not do shit like this. So let's quickly talk about Ragnarfell. Like I said, in this book there are so many big things, and they're just casually mentioned in this book. So shade, I knew it was Ragnarfell, but at the same time, if it is Ragnarfell, why did he lie about being dead for like 5 years or so? Because remember in City of Glass, we thought he was killed by Sebastian Morgenstern, but no, he's alive in this book. And I'm here like, okay, but like, how did you come back from the dead? Or like, were you really killed? Or like, why did you hide this piece of information from Magnus and Katarina and Tessa? What's going on? Like, I was just genuinely confused why he pretended to be dead for so long. But at the same time, Jem knew that he's alive, because he said that Jem sends me to help Ty with this, or like to help him avoid this whole thing. I don't understand this part of the story, so I really hope we get a better explanation. So this scene with Zara coming up the institute, Emma is right there, and this bitch Zara has Cortana, and I find this scene so fucking funny, because Zara is being cocky. Obviously she's being very fucking annoying like usual, but she's just like, if you don't do this and do this and do this, I will strike you down. And Emma calls her out for it. Emma says, strike me down then, bitch. And of course they fight. Zara cannot fight for shit. Even though she has Cortana, she still loses to Emma, because Cortana is loyal to Emma. Honestly, that scene was so great, because Cortana literally swerves last minute as, you know, it's about to hit Emma, and I just knew that that sword belongs to the Carstairs. No one touched that sword besides Emma Carstairs, okay? It upsets me that Emma did not get Cortana back from Zara at that scene, but later on it's gonna be more iconic, so I don't mind. Ty decides to bring Livy back from the dead, and her ghost shows up. That illustration in the book is absolutely beautiful, oh my god, but it was just really heartbreaking, because Livia is like, why are you doing this? You should not do this. Even though he's not successful when it comes to bringing her back from the dead, he manages to bring her ghost. It's honestly so upsetting, because from that moment on, their relationship, Kit and Ty's relationship, just went downhill. Let's talk about this battle scene that happens for like 2 chapters. I don't remember, maybe 3 chapters, but anyway, this battle scene was so damn intense. So where do we start? Let's start with the fact that Cortana flies to Emma. Like, that scene was so amazing, because Zara was like, yeah, like she has Cortana in her hand, and Emma legit just do this, and then Cortana flies to her hand. One of my favorite scenes in this entire book, because it was so iconic. So I believe King Open got really pissed, and then he threw something and it hit Julie. So Julie is dead. Like, she's like the very first one who got killed in this battle, and I was shocked, because I was like, holy fucking shit, it's gonna start. So what happened in this battle? Let's quickly recap. Christina kills Open. That means Kieran is the king now, and I was shocked. I thought that Kieran has to kill Open in order for him to reclaim his throne, but I guess anyone can kill the unseelie king. So yep, Kit is the descendant of the first heir, so he has power, and he beats the Riders of Manon. So he did something with his hand, and then they just flew away, so that was interesting. We learned that Annabelle Blackthorn in this world is actually not Annabelle Blackthorn, it's actually an Eidolon demon. We learned that this Eidolon demon is not affected with seraph blades, because when Julian stabs it with a seraph blade, it doesn't do anything to the demon. My theory is that this Eidolon demon is Tessa's father. We know that Tessa's father is an Eidolon demon, but we don't know what it is, because it can be any Eidolon demon, but I think it must be a very, very powerful Eidolon demon, because Tessa herself is so fucking powerful. Like, I love Tessa Gray. She is like an icon in my opinion, but at the same time, you cannot deny her power. Emma should have killed Zara. Honestly, I can't even insult her for that, for sparing Zara twice. Not just once, but twice. I can't even be mad at Emma for that at all, because it means that she's so much better than Zara. This scene, I legit had like a panic attack when Zara stabs Emma. I was like, no, no, this bitch just stabs Emma because she wants Cortana, and I don't understand why, because Cortana has rejected her like twice if you think about it. Like, Zara, you're not a Carstairs, you're actually a fucking fraud and a liar and a thief and all these horrible things. So I don't understand why you think you deserve Cortana. So this is where I was just freaking out, honestly, because Julian and Emma starts to burn. So they're giants, and then Julian kills Horace. Good. I legit says good on my notes because I don't give two shits about Horace Dearborn. I want him to die, but the way that he was killed was like intense, you know, because Julian just straight up grabbed him and then bent him in half. Emma kills the Eidolon demon, and not just that, they both killed the Riders of Manon. These riders, who have been described as like powerful and legendary, they're all dead. Not just one or two, all of them. So the scene at the end of this chapter, I was just sobbing my eyes out, because the entire time we're like, oh my god, how are we gonna come Julian and Emma, because they're insane now. Like, they're fucking giants and they're pretty damn powerful, but at the same time you can tell that they're about to die because they have heavenly fire in their veins. We see this happen one other time with Tessa at the end of Clockwork Princess. She was legit about to die because she had heavenly fire in her veins. I don't know how they were able to survive, honestly, because when it comes to Tessa, she had heavenly fire in her veins for like, I want to say 2 minutes at most. For Julian and Emma, it was legit like 10 to 15 minutes. The scene where the Blackthorn children come together trying to calm them down, I was crying because I love the fact that Tavi was the one who started this, and he's also the one who ended this. Ty saying that we lost Livy, and like, it's the first time that he has to admit to himself that his twin sister is gone now. I was like breaking. Like, I was already like so upset and crying when he says that, because you can tell that it takes a lot for Ty to admit that his twin sister is dead. But not just that, I like the fact that we have other important characters as well. We have Christina, we have Aline coming in telling them like to please come back to their family, like please come back, like we need them so much. I was crying, man. I'm about to cry right now, and I'm so glad that Julian and Emma are back, even though they were supposed to be killed if you think about it, because they had heavenly fire in their veins for so damn long, and yet they managed to survive because of the Blackthorn children. On page 792, we get the tale of the first pair of Parabatai giants. Turns out that the original Nephilim, or like the true Nephilim, are like giants basically. So, you know, giants are used to defeat demons, but then they didn't know that when you're Parabatai with someone that you're deeply in love with, you're out of control. So we have like a few examples before the law has been passed. Julian and Emma are no longer Parabatai. They can be together now. And honestly, when I read that, I was like, wow, that's so convenient. But not just that, let's also like talk about the fact that they get away with the shit that they did at the battle. Like, yes, it's good that Julian has killed Horace Dearborn, but I'm really shocked they don't get any punishment for that. The fact that, you know, they were Parabatai, but then they were also in love, or are in love, sorry. But then not just that, they turned to giants for the battle, and then like they killed a bunch of people. I mean, they were about to kill some innocent people too, so they got away with it. They actually got away with it. Like, there were no punishment for them, so they get to be together at the end. I mean, I'm happy, but at the same time, like, the fact that they got away with it really shocks me, because I really thought that they were gonna be punished for some things, you know, but I guess not. So we also have the first heir tale again. So long ago, the Unseelie King and the Seelie Queen had a child named Oraline, the first heirs. We learned about this in The Land I Lost again. She escaped to the mortal world and married a Herondale, and eventually Kit becomes the descendant of the first heir. So yes, he is a Herondale, but then also he is related to the first heir. So Kit chooses to live with Tessa and Jem because he thinks Ty does not care about him. This is the part that really upsets me, because like, I thought they were gonna be together. I thought that we're gonna get a scene with Kit and Ty kissing and like telling each other that they love each other, but no, like like Kit decides to stay with Jem and Tessa. I mean, I'm happy about that, but at the same time, I did not ask for this pain. The fact that they're separated, I was like, but like, they were gonna be a couple, they're gonna be so cute, like what the hell is going on? I was trying to think of a scene where Ty does not give a shit about Kit, and yes, I know that Ty was like really focused on this one task to bring Livy back from the dead, but it's just him being focused on that one agenda. I think Ty really does care about Kit, but he just had a hard time showing it. It really upsets me that Kit is convinced that Ty does not care about him. Like, oh my god, I was genuinely upset about this. This meeting in the council hall, it was kind of a fucking mess if you think about it, because again, the claim is so lenient. They're like, okay, the remainder cohort members, you get to be exiled, you get to, you know, change your ways at like the different institutes. I'm like, are you fucking serious? This is like the same punishment with like the former circle members. If you think about like Robert and Maurice, they get to be exiled even though they did some fucked up shit with Valentine Morgenstern. It's the same thing with the cohort. They're like, I mean, since you're all minors, we do have faith in you that you would change your ways. I'm like, no, they're not. They're fucking horrible. Like, look at that. Gia is retiring, and I don't blame her because she has gone through so much over like the past 5 years or so. So Jace nominates Alec as a nominee for the role of counsel. I was just so happy when Alec gets the job, because in The Land I Lost, there were so many hints of Alec wanting to change the laws, you know? He's a new counsel now. Everything is kind of good, but of course the cohort won't shut the fuck up. So of course we have this suicide gambit. Is honestly astonishing to see them willing to kill themselves for their own belief, even though it's fucked up because they just hate Downwaters. They think Shadowhunters should be like the ruler of everything, but it's like, y'all gotta fucking stop. So everyone has to leave Alicante. So the cohort members get Alicante and Idris. Meanwhile, everyone has everything else. That's like the end of like the second to last chapter of the book, so that was honestly kind of fucking weird if you think about it. So let's get to the very happy and good part. So the last chapter, The City in the Sea, I believe that's what it's called. That last chapter is like one of the best chapters I've ever read because it's just so happy. But as I was reading it, I was like waiting for something bad to happen, I'm not gonna lie. So Kieran is the king permanently, so that's a good thing, you know. So he's the new Unseelie king, and then we learn that he does have a chance to be with Mark and Christina by using the cottage that his brother Adion gave him. So at the end, the three of them are reunited and they're so happy, and I'm very happy for them. Like, I'm really happy that Kieran has found happiness, because you can totally tell that he has a huge character development from the very first book to the very last book. The new government is being set in New York City, which makes sense, you know, for Alec because he lives in New York, but then also with Magnus and the babies. So this is one of the best part in this entire chapter, is that Alec asked Magnus to marry him. They actually got married on the beach. They got married the way they wanted. This is the shit that I deserve, okay? This is the shit that we deserve as a fandom, okay? A Malik wedding. Like, I love them so much. So Ty wants to go to the Solomons. That's gonna be interesting because in the Wicked Powers, of course, it's gonna be like 2 or 3 years later, so we're gonna see Ty, Kit, and Drew. So things are gonna be a little bit different now in the Wicked Powers. And then Julian and Emma are going to be together. They're going to travel the world together. Overall, we had a very happy ending, to the point that I did not believe it as I was reading the book, because I was waiting for something bad to happen, and then I read the epilogue. Here it is. Something bad has happened. Dark Chase. I'm gonna call this guy Dark Chase. So Dark Chase and Ash come to the Seelie Court, and then Dark Chase wants Clary, and I was like, fuck everything. That's where we left off, and it's interesting to see how Ash and Jace disappear for a good chunk of the book, and then they come back at the end. Ash, I have faith in him. I hope he's gonna be a good character, because I see potential in this young boy. Like, yes, he has some fucked up parents if you think about it, but I do have faith that he will be a good person. So the very last like part of this book is this short story called A Love That Never Tires. So this is about Clary and Chase. Basically, they're engaged. Clary asked him to, you know, marry her, and then he asked her to marry him, and they're engaged. And I'm so happy for them because it shows how much they have grown since TMI. Like in TMI, they're like teenagers, obviously, but then here they're adults. They're responsible. They're mature. They run the New York Institute together, and now they're gonna be married, or like they're going to get married. Overall, it's a very satisfying ending. Like I said, to the point that I was like waiting for something bad to happen because it was just too good to be true. As of now, we have a very, very happy ending. We have Malik being married. We have, what's the ship name? Clays, I guess. You know, they're engaged. We have Simon and Izzy. They're engaged as well. We have Emma and Julian. They're traveling. They're, you know, together. They're happy and shit. So the only thing that's not really tied is the storyline with Kit and Ty. But then at the same time, they're gonna get the wicked powers. So overall, we have a pretty good book. So that is it for my video for Queen of Air and Darkness. Overall, a very, very, very satisfying conclusion to the Dark Artifices trilogy. So that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more videos, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.